Hello grade 7s, welcome to our video on introducing our Indonesian history video textbook project. As you know, the world is a little bit crazy. We are living in a virtual realm right now, and this project is a very practical project. Our school, and actually in Indonesia, there aren't any textbooks in English about Indonesian history, and so you are going to be my crew that solves that problem. And so, as a Christian school, we're going to create a virtual online video and textbook for kingdoms of Indonesian history, or in Indonesia's past. So, you and your group will choose one kingdom, okay, and with your group members, you will take those kingdoms and you will create a textbook chapter, and it will be online. We'll have a website created, and it can forever be used as a source for helping other people learn about Indonesia's history online, so that it's in English, because we don't have very many of those, and from a Christian perspective. So, for you, what do you need to know? Well, you are the Indonesian experts, but you will be creating an online textbook using primary sources and your creative writing skills. So, I have introduced this project. If you like, you can continue to read the document as I sent it to you in ManageBack, but make sure you are first starting with step number 1. Step number 1, you need to gather with your groups, choose a kingdom, and have it approved by Mr. Chris. So, the reason why you need to have it approved by Mr. Chris is because you cannot have the same kingdom as someone else. Otherwise, our textbook is going to have 6 ones on the Bali kingdom or something like that. And we don't want that. We want all different ones. There's plenty to go around. But for that, you'll create at least 10 research questions that will help you learn about the story and retell the story. So, like we modeled in class, you will use questions. You can also use that video to help you create the research questions, but you will create questions with your group. These questions will enable you to research the story of the kingdom and give you more than enough information to retell the story back into the textbook, the whole story, to an audience that doesn't know much about Indonesia, and do it in English, and do it using fun virtual techniques. So, after that, you'll create a plan with the types of sources. That plan is down below. Who's going to do what? Who's going to create the questions? What 3 questions are you going to do? And I, the teacher, need to approve. After you've been given approval, you can begin step number 2. Step number 2 is the research process. So, each question table, I'll show it to you. You need to choose reliable sources, why you chose those, and answer the question. When you are looking and researching your information, after you explain why you chose that source, why it's a reliable source, maybe it's a primary source or something like that, you will then paraphrase the information that you learned from that document. So read it. This is all about research, gathering the information from that primary source. What does it tell you? What information is from your textbook is coming from this project? Answer all the questions. Once you've done that, create a timeline of the events. There's a place down below where you can do that. Timelines are very important, especially while you're doing your research, because you need to retell the story according to the history that it happened, right? Unless it's so weird, spin off of Star Wars, but you won't be doing that. And then step 3 is you are going to retell the story. Intro, body, conclusion. And so this will be about 10 paragraphs or more when you have the intro, body, and conclusion in there. These will not be your answers to the questions. These will be you retelling the story like somebody is reading a textbook. And I will include a sample chapter of a textbook so you can look at it and be like, oh, this is what they have here, this is what they have here. Once you're finished that, you're preparing to post it online. However, there's some important additions you need. You need to have photos to help people understand. If you are referencing an artifact, have that photo in there. You need your timelines finalized. And here's the other thing, terms and reflection questions, Christian perspective, and 20 quiz questions. So your terms, so as you are finished retelling your story, you will see it in textbooks, but there'll be words that are bolded, words that people commonly don't know, or that are very important for understanding. So maybe you're talking about economy, or a type of weapon, or a king. You bolden that word, and then there'll be a part where you explain who that person is, the meaning of that word, so that as people are going through, they're like, I really don't know this word. Ow, it's bolded. I'm going to read and see. It's like having a little dictionary included in your project. So your reflection questions, Christian perspective, and 20 quiz questions. There will be a quiz at the end. Yes, you must have the correct answers, and yes, you need to make good quiz questions because your classmates will be taking your quizzes, and so they need to be accurate, they need to be good, and they need to have the answers included from your website. Once you have finished that, you will make this a video textbook. So after you've done that, you're going to, you don't want to just read off what you had written for your retelling of the story. You want to make it fun, creative, and so you'll write a script and you'll make a video where you teach kids probably in maybe we'll target the grade 3 area, kids in grade 3, teaching them about your kingdom. And so if they wanted to know everything that's on yours, they could just watch the video and it would be a fun way of learning about it. We'll have that, of course, in the website. I will share with you the person who is in charge from your group the link and give them editing power to put things into the website, but you have to have certain steps finished before you're allowed to start posting into the website. Bibliography, which is a works cited page where all of your sources go to. That's for pictures, that's for information, etc., etc. So when we get started, we start with step number 1. Oh, I should include in there, make sure right above here you write down what kingdom you're doing. We'll go kingdom blank, kingdom that you're doing and who is in your group. One, two, three. Oops. Sorry for making edits on the fly. So that's the first thing. After that, you will begin delegating work. So the first one is everyone. Okay, everyone is making the research questions and the plan. So everyone's name is going to be in here. Once you're finished the research questions and answering them, you go check. That box is finished. Next one is the timeline. Everyone will contribute dates and times to the timeline. However, you need to make it kind of cool, easy to put in a website so people can understand. Who is in charge of that? After that, there's going to be someone who is going to find the photos, who's going to find the artifact pictures, things like that that's going in. There's going to be Christian perspective. Who's going to write that? Who's going to write the intro and conclusion? Who's going to write the 8 to 12 body paragraphs? Everyone's going to write these body paragraphs. Everyone's going to be part of the writing, but who is going to be the one who makes sure it all gets finished? As you give a few paragraphs to different people, who's going to be the one in charge of making sure that the words are spelled correctly, those kinds of things. And then there's the script. Who's going to be in charge of that? Who's going to be in charge of the video, maybe the video editing? Once you are done that, who's going to be in charge of the terms? There has to be at least 10. Who's going to make it's supposed to be 3 reflection questions at the end for discussion. And then 20 quiz questions with the answer. Who's going to upload it to the website? Who's going to be creating the bibliography with a minimum of 3 primary sources? Boom. Once you have that done, Mr. Chris needs to check that. Make sure everyone's doing their part. After this, your group will focus on creating 10 research questions. Okay, inquiry questions. The 10 will go in here. Mr. Chris has to approve these, so you'll write them. Remember, there's that video that teaches you the formula for doing that to help you. I will include that in the details of the Manage Back process. Then, once you finish that, step 2, this might be a multiple part video, but step 2 is you are going to insert your question. So from up here, if you're doing question 1, and if it's maybe Yena's doing this one, she puts question 1 here. She finds a source. Okay, she found maybe a sweet artifact, a book that tells the story of whichever king. She put that source in there. This is my source, the book of the Habibidiyah or whatever. Okay, now she would have to tell me why she's using this source. Is it reliable? Why is it reliable? Is it a primary source? Why is it a primary source? Okay, so just one or two sentences explaining why that source is important and why you're using it and why it is reliable. And then paraphrase the information you got from it. So as you read these documents and you're learning about the kingdom or you're investigating and whatever you're learning from this source, write it, paraphrase it. Don't copy and paste. Not allowed to copy and paste, but write down what you're learning. Simple sentences that explain, oh, this person did this, this followed by this, that. And it's all in there. Put little quotes around it if you want, make it all pretty. But then you know, oh, Mr. Chris asked me where I learned this. Oh, it's right here. Source, this is what I learned from here. And then source link or photo of it. So somehow you're going, and then after you'll take that and you'll put this in your works cited place. And then after you've got all this information, what is the answer to the question? So once you've got this information, the question, now answer it. Your question answers must be 5 sentences or more. It has to be a complete paragraph. Okay, after you've done that, there's 10. You're going to divvy these up so everyone in your group is going to have at least 3 questions. Then you create your timeline, events from the beginning until the end. What happened? Now, you'll need to have inquiry questions that help with that. Step 3. Okay, you're going to now, once you've answered all the questions, you have the timeline. Now you're going to use those things to retell the story of this kingdom. Make it interesting, make it exciting. Like I said, I'm going to share photos of what our textbook pages look like, how they write it, but it's got to be something that draws the reader in, retells it with excitement. It's not just copy and paste the answers to your questions. It's more than that. You need to have at least 10 paragraphs or 8 body paragraphs, 8 to 12, 5 sentences or more. There's a conclusion. There's the Christian perspective. Make sure you write those. I'm going to go in and edit this document in a little bit. And then there's the term word. So here's an example, right? Maybe it's Majapahit. What is it? Oh, it's the name of the kingdom that was reigning. I don't know, right? No. This is word definition. Word definition. Do it 10 times. In your actual website, you will highlight and bolden the words that are your terms. 20 quiz questions from the information that you have just told people. So if you have dates in there, like in what year did King whoever come to reign? In what year did the Chinese come and attack? Those kinds of things. Or who is responsible for the fall of this kingdom? Or what was their biggest trading resource? 3 reflection questions where you cause people to think deeper in discussion. Any extra photos, include those here. Any extra sources, so you can put those into your works cited page. And then in here, you will create your script. Now, your video is going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, retelling the story through a fun, creative way. Works cited page, put it all up on the website, sign it off, get Mr. Chris to check it, and then you are finished. This is group work. It might seem like a lot, but you can do it. Every other class has done it before, and you can too. I know you can. Thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, please ask me.